Yo, what is going on? This is your boy Thatguyface with Face the Music Media. We are back again for another episode of How I Synth. In this video, we got the new boy, Arpeggio Jun-6V. Let's get into it.
Oh yeah. Oh mama. Oh yeah. Face the music.
Now, the whole point of this synth was to be extremely simple. It was a cheaper alternative to the Jupiter, so it had a little less functionality, less voices, less effects, and all these different types of things. So let's jump into it, man. So basically, you have your oscillators here, you have your filter section here, you have your amplifier here, and your envelope. Then we have your LFO, your arpeggio, and your chord mode section here. Then you have up here your voice calibration, which basically, if it's set on good mode, then it's just like having a brand new synth. If it's on average, then that means that it's still in almost perfect condition, but you might get a little bit of drifting. And if you put it on poor mode, then it drifts a lot and it just sounds kind of slightly out of tune. So it affects almost every aspect of the synth and basically makes the values drift slightly randomly. I don't know what the number is. It doesn't say in the manual. So let's jump into it. First thing I'm going to do is turn the volume down. So basically I have a chord progression. I'm going to play that here in a second, but let's start with the oscillator. We have a triangle wave, a ramp up saw wave, and then we have the square wave, which you can turn into the pulse width. So I'm going to start off with the square wave. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and automate that and make it into a pulse width modulation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use LFO 2 because the original LFO only had two different options here for the shape, which is basically just ramp up, and then you have a delay and ramp up. So I want to make this pad have a lot of movement to it and a lot of texture. So I'm going to come up here and click on destination and go to oscillator, DCO PWM for pulse width modulation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this to sample and hold, which is pretty much like a random shape. It just kind of jumps all over the place. And then I'm going to slowly bring up the amount of LFO that we want. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that. Cool, sounds good. So let's go ahead and change the rate until we find one that sounds good. We'll go ahead and turn on sync. Let's see what 1/4 sounds like. Nice. So that sounds really good. I think another thing I want to do is I'm going to take the resonance here and boost it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to route the LFO 2 to the filter's resonance as well. So let's go ahead and I want the resonance to kind of jump around, and that's going to give us even more harmonics. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that. Nice. That sounds beautiful. Okay, so another thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate this envelope here. So let's go ahead and fool around with this envelope and see what we can come up with. Nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and mess around with some of these effects here. So let's go ahead and start off with the delay, and then we'll mess around with the reverb. Nice, I love that. So let's go ahead and mess around with the reverb and see what we can come up with. One thing that I can say about this plugin that I don't particularly like, and maybe they'll address this in an update, is the filter has this steppy sound to it. So if you take a listen, when I sweep through the frequencies, just take a listen to the steppy sound. Yeah, so it sounds weird. It's not really a smooth sweep. And another thing, when I hit stop, it just abruptly stops. It doesn't give you any of the tail of the reverb. If there's a release on the envelope, it doesn't give you any of that release. So basically, when you hit stop, the sound just stops. And that's just unusual for a VST synth, but maybe they'll address that in an update. But I know me personally, when I'm doing reverbs and stuff, I like to play it and then stop it so I can hear what the tail sounds like, but I can't do that with this plugin. Done. Done. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go ahead and mess with the chorus. Now, I will say the chorus on this plugin sounds absolutely amazing. I love it. It's probably one of the better chorus effects that I've heard in one of these plugins, in the Juno plugins. It sounds really good. So let's go ahead and finish messing with the chorus. Ooh, when you hit both 1 and 2, it creates this very fast vibrato sound, and it's just crazy. I love it. Beautiful. I absolutely love that. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do, because I actually want a little more control over the chorus, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use Arteria's Juno Chorus plugin. It's the same exact chorus from the Synth plugin, but it has a manual mode where you can get more control over the actual sound. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Beautiful. That sounds crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on a little bit of a bit crusher. And the bit crusher I'm going to use is D16's Decimort. This plugin is really dope, actually. It's one of my favorite bit crushers. It has a lot of functionality to it and it sounds great. You can get some really talky sounds out of it. So let's just go ahead and mess around with it. We have the main section here, which is the resampler section here. This is where you're going to choose which frequencies you're going to crush. And then this filter section here is another section that I fool with a lot, and that's how you can kind of fine tune the sound and get it to sound exactly how you want. So let's go ahead and take a listen and see what it sounds like. Nice, already sounds amazing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the filter and put it into pre mode. And this is basically saying that it's going to filter the sound before the bit crusher, and then post is after. So I want it to be before. So I'm going to go to pre, I'm going to go to low pass, and then I'm going to sweep through the frequencies and boost the resonance until I find that little magic frequency. And then we'll kind of back off the dry wet because you don't want it to be overly processed. You just want it to slightly be on there a little. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Cool. So now that I found the kind of ringy sound that I'm looking for, I'm gonna back off the dry wet. So let's go ahead and listen. Nice. Now I'm going to come back over to Juno, and then you'll slightly hear the ring of that bit crusher. Nice. Now I'm going to back off of that just a little bit because it's a little too pronounced. So let's go down here and let's see. It's at 2%. Let's take it to 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a listen. Nice. That sounds amazing. I'm going to go ahead and go into arpeggiator mode. Now this arpeggio is straightforward. You only have the mode and which is up and down mode. You have the ranges, which determines how many octaves it goes up. And then you have the rate, which is the speed. I'm going to go ahead and take it down. I'm going to go to 2 for the range, and then we'll mess around with the rate and stick with the one that sounds the best. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Go ahead and activate the sub oscillator because it's sounding a little bit thin, so I want to add some bottom end to it. I'm going to add a little bit of noise too. And with the noise, I just want a little bit on there. I don't even want it to really be audible, but I wanted to just add another layer of texture to the sound. Nice. That sounds beautiful. So another thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to come over here to the LFO. I'm going to put the LFO on the filter. I'm going to turn on the sync. So let's try 1/16. I wanted to kind of follow what the pulse-width modulation is doing. So let's do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a listen to that. So I'm going to change that rate. I want it to go a little bit slower. Amazing. I love that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new plugin that I haven't used on this channel just yet, and that is the API console. This plugin is actually really dope. I use it a lot on vocals, but I love to use it on synths as well. The EQ is amazing, the compressor is amazing, and the actual tone of the plugin itself is amazing. So basically we have the mic pre section here. We have a gate here, we have an EQ section here, we have the high pass and low pass filter here, and then we have the compressor here. Then you have the output here. So I'm not gonna mess with everything on the plugin. I'm just going to boost the gain so we can actually get a feel of what the actual plugin sounds like. And that's with any plugin that you have. If it has an input, if you boost that, you'll hear what the actual sound of the plugin is. So we'll boost that, we'll compress it, and then EQ it. Now the EQ, you can set it to go before the compressor or after. I'm going to set it to before the compressor so the compressor can kind of smooth out any of the frequencies that might jump out. So let's go ahead and mess around with this and see what we can come up with. Nice. So let's go ahead and take a listen to it before and after. Nice. So that just livens the sound up a little bit. Okay, cool. So I think the last thing I'm going to do is route this out to my controller, and then I'm going to go ahead and jam out. So let's go ahead and hit the Command M button. So I'm going to go and click on frequency cutoff and then move my control. Resonance, move my control. Envelope, move my control. And LFO, move my control, hit Command M, and then we are ready. Man, hey look, that's the end of this video, man. This is Thatguyface, Face the Music Media. I hope you enjoyed this video. I actually like this plugin a lot. The one thing that I don't like is the filter and how it has that step sound. And I hate how when you hit stop, it just completely stops. Other than that, I think this plugin sounds amazing. Is it worth it for the upgrade? I would say definitely get this plugin straight up because it sounds amazing. I've been messing around with it and man, I've been making some amazing sounds with this thing. So grab the demo if you haven't already and kind of mess around with it. But anyway, stay tuned. We got more videos coming. Again, this is your boy Thatguyface with Face the Music Media. We out of here. Peace.